That said, with regard to the sentence in this case, as to Travis McMichael, Mr. McMichael, the court sentences you as follows. Count 1, malice murder, life without the possibility of parole. 2, vacated by operation of law. Count 3, felony murder, vacated by operation of law. Count 4, felony murder, vacated by operation of law.
Y'all not gonna keep cutting us!
Vacated by operation of law.
Gotta hear the rest.
Count 6, aggravated assault, merges into count 1. Count 7, aggravated assault. Court sentences the defendant to 20 years consecutive to count 1. Count 8, false imprisonment, merges into count 1. Count 9, attempted false imprisonment, 5 years concurrent to count 7. Life plus 20.
Thank you, Jesus!
Count 1, malice murder, defendant found not
Lord Jesus, I thank you, Jesus.
felony murder, life without the possibility of
Yes, Lord, yes! Yes, Lord, yes! Yes!
Count 4, vacated. Count 5, vacated. Count 6, merges into count 2.
Oh, yeah.
Count 7, aggravated assault, 20 years consecutive to count 2. Count 8, 10 years concurrent to count 7.
50.
Count 9, 5 years concurrent to count 7. That is life plus 20 years.
He ain't never getting out. What you say? By each count.
What you say?
They ain't never getting out. Oh, thank you, Jesus. Yes, Lord. Thank you, Jesus. Yeah. Don't mess with the Arbery family.
I told you I had that dream.
As far as the remorse, I think Roddy Bryan stands in good.
Listen, Roddy.
It is obvious from the beginning that he questioned the tragedy that had occurred at the scene. It was on, I believe, I can't remember whose body cam, but the body cam, in fact, questioning whether or not what had occurred, and then took steps early on in this process, I think, that demonstrated that he had grave concerns that what had occurred should not have occurred. And I think that does make Mr. Bryan's situation a little bit different. However, Mr. Bryan has been convicted of felony murder. And I do not believe it can be disputed based on the facts of this case, that the verdict was an appropriate verdict based upon the evidence presented, at least. So when I say appropriate, what I mean is legal. Because I believe there's been some discussion about some differences between Mr. Bryan and the McMichaels. There may be some differences, but it does not change the fact that that Mr. Bryan used his vehicle in a way to impede Mr. Arbery's course of travel. This may not have ever occurred, and that is sufficient for felony murder. He did cooperate with law enforcement. I will point out Mr. Goff, 1710-1B. There's actually a case out of Chatham County that said it would not apply to the circumstances of this case. So the court recognizing that Mr. Bryan's position is different. Again, Mr. Bryan was found not guilty on count 1 and count 2. The court sentences Mr. Bryan to life with the possibility of parole.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Count 4 is vacated. Count 5 is vacated. Count 6, the defendant was found not guilty. Count 7 emerges into count 3. The defendant is sentenced to 10 years consecutive to count 3 on count 8, and 5 years concurrent with count 8.
35.
Both of those counts will be suspended.
35 years.
Which gives Mr. Bryan a life possibility of parole sentence. Those are the sentences. The court having pronounced sentence, first with regard to Travis McMichael. Mr. McMichael, you are hereby notified that under the law of Georgia, you are entitled to appeal the guilty verdict of the jury, and if you decide to do so, you must file your appeal within 30 days of this date. You are also informed that you have the right to retain a lawyer of your own choice to represent you on your post-trial motions and appeals to the appropriate appellate court of Georgia. If you cannot afford a lawyer, the court will appoint one for you. You are entitled to and will be given a transcript of all pre-trial, trial, and post-trial matters without cost to you if you cannot afford to.